Today we're going to do our fourth Is There Any Deal bundle, and let's get into it. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Adrian Reddix, and today we're doing our fourth IsThereAnyDeal.com bundle. If you don't know IsThereAnyDeal.com, it's a website that aggregates a bunch of other websites together and looks for the lowest price for each game title. And the reason I like doing these videos is because there's so many videos about gaming bills and the top games and how well they work on different games and different components and things like that. It's okay and it's good to have those types of reviews. What I like doing is going for the value as far as what I play on those systems, because it's cool that you can build this $5,000 or $6,000 system. But if you don't have any games or a variety of games to play on it, it gets very boring very quick unless it's a game you just always play. Like if you're just a Call of Duty person, or if you just play, I don't know, Hearthstone or something like that. We have a couple of different requirements when I do my IsThereAnyDeal.com bundle. One, it has to be 5 games. All games have to be a total of no more than $10. Only 2 of the games can be free. And yeah, those are our restrictions on that. Let's see if I was able to find 5 games under $10, only 2 being free. I mean, I did. I wouldn't be doing the video if I didn't. The first game. The first game is a game called The Binding of Isaac. And if that sounds familiar, then you have read the Bible before. So before we go into this game does talk about a couple things having to do with religion. So if that bothers you, skip to this point in the video. And if it doesn't, stay with me. It's not going to be offensive at all. All right. This game is based on, it's loosely based on the part of the Bible where Abraham, if you're familiar with, God asks Abraham to sacrifice his son. So he takes Isaac to the altar and binds him, the binding of Isaac, right? So you start off in this game. The animation is, and the art style is not a refined style, but that doesn't take away from the game. So in the beginning of the game, you see Isaac and his mom. Isaac has a pretty okay life. And his mom, they point out, watches Christian television all day long. Then one day she hears a voice from above saying that, hey, Isaac is sinning. You have to strip him of, his things that he sins with. So she takes away his books and toys and clothes. And then the voice comes back and says, no, you're not doing enough. You have to punish Isaac. So she goes and locks Isaac in the room. And then the voice comes and says, hey, you've done all, but Isaac is still in sin. So you have to go and sacrifice Isaac. She gets a knife and goes to Isaac's rooms. And apparently Isaac has a huge crack in his door and he sees his mother coming. And then suddenly there's a trap door in his room. I don't know how you did not notice a trap door in your room. He jumps to the basement as his mother breaks in, and that's how the game starts. So the game is a roguelike game. If you don't know what a roguelike game is, it's a game where if you die, you start all the way back over in the beginning. So it's a roguelike dungeon crawler. I remember when this game came out, roguelike dungeon crawlers were a product of, as far as video games, the 80s and early 90s. It wasn't really it was popular. It had a heyday then. And then in the 90s and the 2000s, it wasn't really as popular. I mean, there were still dungeon crawlers and roguelike games out there, but they weren't as popular as a lot of the indie games have today. And I believe back in 2011, when the Binding of Isaac came out, that's when you start seeing, since it got successful, you start seeing more of these roguelike games come out. And I think that has to do with that, because it got real popular, because it's a real fun game. The game is good. And if you notice in the beginning of the game, they talk about Newgrounds, how it was a collaboration with Newgrounds. Newgrounds was, when I was in high school and college in the 2000s, Newgrounds was the place where you could find all the indie animation and games from around the world. And you had some really, really good games on Newgrounds. You had some bad ones too, horribly bad. But it was a way to experience new things and new gameplays. And if you were a game designer, it was a way to prove to the big publishers and to yourself or whoever that you could make a game without having this huge budget that was really good. You had things that became console games like, Fancy Pants Adventures, Alien Hominid, and Project Nexus were huge games on Newgrounds. And it was just exciting going to Newgrounds and seeing different games every week or every day. That it was just a really good place to experience and find new things. The Binding of Isaac was a fantastic game. The story is great. It's not offensive. I don't think it's offensive. The Steam rating for this game is 10 out of 10. The price on Steam is $4.99. The price we paid was $1. So, $1 game. I think it's an awesome game. We got this game from Gamersgate. They were having a sale. So, we got that. And I'm going to give this one 5 Adrians because it was a fantastic game. Next game. The next game is a game called Monopoly Plus. Monopoly Plus is a game that Monopoly is a game everybody should be familiar with. If you hadn't played Monopoly, I don't know where you were living. I don't understand. Monopoly is universal. You know Monopoly, or what makes this game different than your, of course, board game Monopoly. One, it's a video game. Two, they have this mode that I thought was very, very impressive called Live Board. And what Live Board is, if you know regular Monopoly, it's just a board game, duh. But with Live Board, they have animations to help enhance the gameplay. Let's say if you roll and you get on Park Place. Well, it's a fancy place, or if you go to one of the slum areas of the board, it's not as fancy. And the animations of the game pieces were fantastic. The rolling dice, playing against the AI I liked it. The gameplay can be slow. Like it's actually like playing a regular Monopoly game. There's no speeding it up, or I hadn't found a way to speed it up. You roll the dice and you can trade. It's Monopoly. It's what it is. You trade, you build houses, you charge rent. It's Monopoly. I think the live board aspect adds a feature to the game that makes it more interesting. I also like that when you buy property, these little people run in and give you a celebration, like, yeah, you bought the property, and they scatter out with their little legs. Just, It's an okay game. There are some reviews online that says the online version, because you can play with other people online, is buggy and things like that. But I myself hate playing with people online. I just don't like it. I've had a bad experience with chat back in the 2000s with one of the Call of Duties. It got a little much for me as far as inappropriate language, and I'll leave it at that. And so since then, I've had a bad taste in my mouth about playing online. But yeah, this game it's okay. We got this game from Fanatical. It cost us $4.69. The rating on Steam was 6 out of 10. The regular price is $14.99, and we're gonna give it 3 Adrians. It's an average game. It's okay. Nothing fantastic. It's a reimagining of the Monopoly gameplay, and I'm not mad at that. The next game. The next game is a game called Renzo Racer. It's a kart style racing game. The intro is, what's a nice way to put this? Hokey at best. Let's look at the intro together. That's a very interesting opening for a game. The animation is lacking. What's up with the shark and the helmet? The dinosaur with black eyes. It's interesting art choice. The gameplay is clunky and overly sensitive at times. So when you're going through the track and doing all these different things, when you're turning, it's like if you're going straight and you tap it, it kind of just like, and it's a very hard turn. It's not smooth. The gameplay it's just a lot of kart games, a lot of racing games. You tap the brake to slow it down. You tap the brake, you come to an almost complete stop. It is not a good game. I don't think it's meant for a mature or a over the age of 12 player game base. I could be wrong. It seems to me to be a game where you just give it to a 8 or 6-year-old, maybe Dopolis or Cash Money, and just let them play and have mindless fun. That's what this game is. It's just mindless fun for, I think, kids. It's not a refined game. It's not a game that you could, I don't know, see yourself playing in like a Mario Kart tournament. There's been plenty of those. It's not as well defined or a well programmed game. It is just what it is. We downloaded this from Indie Gala, and it was free for us. On Steam, it costs $4.99, and the Steam rating is 6 out of 10. And I'm gonna give it a 1 out of 5. It has its place as a game just for some mindless fun for people under the age of 12. The next game. Next game is a game series I've come to adore since I've been doing YouTube and these bundles. And it's a game called Guilty Gear 20 Accent Core Plus R. That's a mouthful. This game is, if you're not familiar with the Guilty Gear series, I have a couple of reviews on a couple bundles that I received the Guilty Gear games in. It's a fighting game, for lack of a better term. It's an anime fighting game with weapons. You can play a bunch of different people. I always play sole bad guy because it's the first person I play with, and he's kind of cool looking. Unlike a lot of other Guilty Gear games I've played, the gameplay seems to be more fluid in this game. The combos seem to come more easy and you can hit them in rapid succession, and that really adds to the gameplay as far as the fun of the game. And the AI seems to be a little more intelligent, and it gives you a little more challenge when it comes to this game. But like a lot of other fighting games, maybe it's just me. To me, when you have fighting games, the keyboard is not the best way to use any fighting game. You gotta have a gamepad. You can get a cheap one for $20, $30, or you can go and be Mr. Moneybags and spend $200 or $300 on a gamepad. I don't know why, but you could. The game is, to me, the best one I played. Sometimes the Guilty Gear games seem maybe rushed and not as refined as it could be, but this one is very, very well polished and very, very good game. We downloaded this from Fanatical. Again, Fanatical is a favorite website of mine. This game cost us $2.69. The regular Steam price is $14.99. And it received a 10 out of 10 on Steam. And I think that is the correct rating for this. So we're going to give it 5 out of 5 also. So if you're into fighting games, Guilty Gear is a game I would definitely recommend. And the last game of this series, and the game is a one I used to play all the time. And it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic is a nostalgia boost for me. It was the first game I owned on Sega Genesis. I used to play it all the time, and me being, I guess I was around 10 or 8 at the time, playing this game was just, I loved it. It was great fun. It just brought back just this me being a kid and not having a care in the world. I mean, I love the game. But this game, the more interesting part is you play this game on something called Sega Mega Drive, and it's kind of like a emulator from Sega. And you are in a room and you have to take the game off the shelf and put it in the system and you play it. And there's nothing that's changed about the game. A lot of times when you port games from one system to another, you lose not as much anymore, but you used to lose some aspect of the game. It wasn't as responsive. There'll be an invisible wall up somewhere, or it just wasn't a well-defined. A lot of ports just weren't done well. This isn't one of them. It was done fantastic. There was no difference from what I remember to what I was playing on this game. I mean, it's Sonic. It's classic Sonic, and this is when. And he has Tails. Tails is with you all through the way. I mean, it's Sonic. I mean, can you say anything bad about Sonic 2? No. It's fantastic. I would have played for hours if I could. If I could, that's all I would have played. That's how great this game is to me. The price for me was free because Steam had a sale. We downloaded from Steam. Had a sale for Sega, and one of the games, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, was free. The Steam price for this game is $4.99. It received an 8 out of 10. I think that's too low. I gave it 5 out of 5. Let's add up how much we spent. The Binding of Isaac, $1. Monopoly Plus, $4.69. Renzo Racer, free. Guilty Gear, 20, or Guilty Gear XX Accent Core Plus R, $2.69, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, free. And when you add all that up, that gives us a total of $8.38. I think that was a fantastic deal. We probably could have got another game out of that if we wanted to. And also, so as far as total value, if you add up all the Steam prices for these games, you get a total of $44.95. I think we got a great deal on this. So that's it. If you guys like this type of video or this video, give it a thumbs up. Tell me why you like this type of video. If you didn't like the video, tell me why and give me a thumbs down. Just tell me why. And so I can improve, make better videos, and go from there. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good one.